National viewers, thank you kindly for choosing us here on Real TV, where we bring reality to you. My dear friends, a very warm welcome to another edition of the program Conversations with Zelisa, where we continue to inform, educate, empower, and answer those unanswered questions. I am Zelisa Singh Rupani, humbly inviting you to sit back, relax, enjoy, get your pen, get your notebook, so you could take notes on important numbers that will be helpful for you and your loved ones. Directing this morning and in Master Control, Mr. Philip, on behalf of the team, we'd like to wish each and every one of you a beautiful, blessed, productive, and great day today. Happy Monday. I trust all is well. You're safe, you're happy, you're in good health, and you're having yourself a beautiful day, reminding you life is what you make of it. It's Monday, the 29th of September, 2025. If you're celebrating a birthday, happy birthday. If it's your anniversary, happy anniversary to you and yours, your loved ones. Not forgetting that, tomorrow is not promised. So you remember to enjoy today. You remember to say thank you. Remember to do the best that you can, all right? And of course, the choices we make today will certainly determine our tomorrows, yeah? So let's go to our quote for today, please. And our quote says, self-confidence is a superpower. Once you start to believe in yourself, magic starts happening. Let me repeat this. Self-confidence is a superpower. Once you start to believe in yourself, magic starts happening. And I want to remind you, I always say to you the importance of loving yourself and having confidence in yourself. If you can't love yourself and you can't have confidence in you and what your capabilities are, no one else will. All right, so that came to us with the kind compliments of Fab India Expo. Let's go to the ad, please.
Step into the colors and flavors of India at the India in Style Expo opposite the Center of Excellence Mokoya. Dive into our Indian Food Festival featuring a delicious variety, plus explore vibrant Indian clothing, elegant outfits for the entire family, perfect for every occasion. Open daily from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. opposite the Center of Excellence in Mokoya. Get ready, Shoguners! The Fab India Expo is back, starting on September 18th, right opposite the Medford gas station, Shoguners. Shop authentic Indian fashion, food, jewelry, home decor, and much more. Don't miss out on the Fab India Expo opposite Medford gas station, Shoguners, your one-stop cultural destination.
Conversations with Zelisa, where we continue to inform, educate, empower, and answer those unanswered questions. Speaking of informing and empowering you, before I introduce my very special guest, let me talk to you about a very important meeting that's happening with the TTPS today. Mr. Philip, can I get that flyer up, please? And so I just want to remind all of those, the Arima Police Station town meeting, it's happening tonight, Monday, 29 September, starting from 6 to 8 p.m. It's happening at the Arima Community Center, the Anglican Street in Arima. And it's important that you are part of that because it's the Arima Police Station having their town meeting. And this is to make sure that our citizens are safe. So please see and be there. Make it your business to be there. It's happening tonight at 6 to 8 p.m. at the Arima Community Center, Anglican Street in Arima. There's a contact number 667-2910. Thank you so much, Mr. Philip. Appreciate that very much. Let's say good morning and a very warm welcome to a young man, a gentleman whom I hold in high regard. I've known him for many years. He's always been an advocate when it comes to children and gender. He's a force to be reckoned with. And because of technology, he is now living and he's studying, he's doing his PhD abroad. He is in Philadelphia. And so let's say a very good morning and a warm welcome to Mr. Marcus Kisoon. Good morning, Mr. Kisoon.
Morning, Zelisa. Morning, Trinidad.
Yes, and what is the weather like in Philadelphia this morning?
Well, interestingly enough, I went to bed and it was hot, and I woke up this morning and it was super cold. So yeah, it's very unpredictable, but it's around uh I would say 22 degrees Celsius.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, first, let me congratulate you on your achievements. I know you are somebody that you always aim for the best. You set standards and the bar is very high. And so I want to congratulate you on the sacrifice making now, because you've always been somebody I've really admired, very much a fighter when it comes to gender and of course our children. Yeah? Today we're going to be talking about the importance that we often, some of us, take for granted of positive role models in the lives of not just us but our children as well, and the influence role models have, whether positive or negative.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting question. Uh, let's start, for example, I've been involved in a lot of young people's lives through the work that I do right before leaving for the US to do my PhD. I was at the University of the West Indies. And young people have asked the question around one, what would, for example, a degree or what would education do for me? And I think exposing them to persons who have done this work, especially those who are interested in, what we call the third sector, the civil society sector, which is another layer where change happens, right? Without civil society, we wouldn't have that freedom of speech and freedom of understanding on a different layer, because state speaks one thing, public sector speaks another language, and civil society, aims to represent the voices of the people. And I think that is what this generation more than ever depends on, which is being around people who are people-centered, people-driven, and that is the idea of role models and mentoring, because we've been exposed to this idea of what success looks like, and we could have a blueprint for the atypical career path, doctor, lawyer, engineer, whatever the case might be. But then, what does that do for humanity, right? Securing success and career could also be alienating the idea of humanity. And I think role models, what I aim to do with young people who are thinking about education, is I always ask the question, what problem will you fix? And I think role models should be asking similar questions beyond how can I help you, really asking the question about, what are the problems in society you want to fix, and how do you center the people who are being affected by that problem in your efforts. And I think those are some of the fundamental pieces in mentorship. Actually, what I call co-mentorship, because mentorship is both ways, right? You learn from the mentee, you learn from the mentor, and vice versa. So I do think that role models shape that idea of humanity, and I think good role models shape that idea of what humanity is and how we contribute to humanity.
I firmly believe the very first and important influence in the lives of our children in particular would be their parents, their first teachers, their first gurus. And children really do absorb. And so that first influence in the lives of our children really would be the importance of what parents teach their children, the lives that they live, the environment. Scientists says from birth to 7 years, we take away 85% of what we learn, and we take that through for the rest of our lives. And that says, that in itself is so important for parents to truly understand the deep importance of their role in the lives of our children.
Yeah. I think, there's this idea that,
I'm not getting any audio. 1 minute, sir. I'm not, Mr. Philip, I'm not. Can you assist, please? I humbly apologize. Let's go to a quick break, Mr. Kisoon. I humbly apologize. Let's go to a quick break. And when we return, we continue our conversation with Mr. Marcus Kisoon, who is an advocate for children. Let's go to these important messages. Stay with us.
Every word,
Philip.
every line, every paragraph
Philip.
depicts a real moment in someone's life. A father, a sister, a mother, a brother. We at Newsday are dedicated to you, the people, and through independent, unwavering journalism, strive to always bring your stories to life. Because your stories are more than just words. Newsday, independent and credible.
Need it for your home? Need it for your business? Need it for your biggest project yet? Point Lisa Steel Products has it all. From doors, taps, locks and tools to steel beams, concrete blocks, decking sheets and everything in between. Trusted by families, trusted by builders, trusted across Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean. Call 3870418, 3870419 or connect with us on Facebook, Instagram and TikTok. Point Lisa Steel Products, where strength meets everyday life.
Need reliable auto care? Come to Champfleur Auto Services Limited, where quality meets reliability every time. We handle all mechanical repairs, provide durable batteries, tires, and precise wheel alignment. And we are the sole distributors of Devanti tires. We also carry a full range of car accessories to suit your vehicle. As a certified inspection station, we even offer fast and convenient pickup and delivery at no extra cost, so you don't have to worry about a thing. Stop by at number 1 Industrial Lane, Champfleur, or call 662-6545 or 662-6572 today. Champfleur Auto Services Limited, your one-stop auto repair shop.
Your community matters, and your news deserves to be heard. From religious events and sports days to fundraisers, markets, and cultural celebrations, Real TV is your platform to share it all. Send us your announcements and let's spread the word together, because strong communities are built on connection. Real TV, real facts, real talk, real community.
Call us today at 292-6470 or WhatsApp us at 384-7142. You can also send an email to realtv.corporate@gmail.com.
You're viewing Real TV. Thanks for choosing us.
Welcome back to Conversations with Zelisa right here on Real TV, where we bring reality to you. I'm in conversation this morning with Mr. Marcus Kisoon, children's advocate. He is in Philadelphia, USA this morning. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you. Yeah.
I'm not here. Yeah, we seem to be having a little situation with the audio. Can you hear me, sir?
I am hearing you, yes.
Okay, great, perfect. Welcome back. I can hear
Thank
you
you.
now.
Yes.
Brilliant. So just before the break, Mr. Kisoon, we were discussing with regards to first of all, the importance of the role of parents in the lives of their children. I know even though you are in Philadelphia, you are very much in tune with what's happening in Trinidad, especially when it comes to understanding, because that is what you do best, the lives of our children. So you're very much aware when it comes to violence and rage and bullying and fighting and all the things that are happening in our schools. And now we're at a point where we've got police officers placed in schools in order to curb the violence, but it's deeper than that.
Yeah. So I just want to go back to this whole idea of like this micro system, which is like the parents. I agree if we think about the roles of parents in lives of children, caregivers, etc. Again, it is to introduce them to this idea of humanity, right? What it is to live with each other, etc. That's why the foundation of what I brought up of mentorship is that idea of introducing humanity. And I also, given the work that I do, especially around child sexual abuse, I have come to learn that even the family fails children now and again, right? There are moments when it is the family dynamic that contributes to the pain and the disadvantaging of children. And that is when I also believe that there's a role for these external macro systems, including the state, the school, etc., these institutions. So, one, I have to be clear that I think that taking, for example, Ministry of National Security resources like police officers and using them to help children is a step in the right direction, which is using national resources to that. Like for example, I was in Costa Rica last year, and Costa Rica doesn't have an army. And what they use as an alternative to an army is that those persons will offer like medical services. So their army is trained to do like basic nursing, basic home repairs, other sort of safety mechanisms, etc. So, because Costa Rica isn't fighting any wars anytime soon, right? So why have such large budgets attached to something that isn't so, necessary? But what I'm saying is that using these national resources for the betterment of children is the step in the right direction. I do think there's a role and a partnership that could happen between education and national security. However, I've always been asking state and people who are designing these programs to think about what it means to have these particular persons in school settings, right? A lot of communities have problems and relationships with police officers. So the aesthetic alone of having these armed, uniformed officers in school creates these, uncomfortable ideas of who they are, what they deserve in society. And we're seeing it, right? We're seeing children lashing back out at these officers. And those are those, immediate cries. In the early, I think 2004, 2005, a similar methodology was executed. They were considered safety officers. They were in plain clothes. They engage in students. And we're seeing that method, evolving. I saw a video with an officer showing a young man how to tie his tie.
Yes.
Right? So I'm seeing that relationship building happening. But in the very early starts with this initiative, it was unsure if it was that community relationship about to happen or if it was heavy-handed policing, which again tells students, that tells particular communities that all we can do is control you rather than welcome you into society, right? So that was sort of my early discomfort with police, with the aesthetic, with the meaning of it, because historically, particular communities, black and brown bodies, didn't have access to school. They were told what they were allowed to do, and always had, runnings with police and the law. So it never left a good taste in their mouth. And yes, I understand that there's problems in school, but we also cannot reproduce those inequalities, those disadvantages by placing these heavy-handed, aesthetically placed officers in schools to tell these children this is what we want, rather than create this environment of community, which I am seeing slowly evolving. And I wish it was part of the master plan of the programming. So yeah.
Did you see the video where children locked an officer in a classroom?
And they was like, and you will get things like that, this is where society has reached.
pushing the buttons, I think, or perhaps testing the waters.
Absolutely, and children will rebel. And again, I've worked in these communities, right? And I've seen the fears and anxieties, and also the celebration of protective service. But again, protective service has again left a very bitter taste in some communities on their palate, the experiences that they've had. So to just now come and put them in their places of school, places that is designed for them, reiterates that whole idea of control, and young people aren't key players in their own futures. So all of these things we have to consider. I'm not denying the fact that we do need all national resources attached to this. I think it shouldn't just be officers. I think it should be where the community nurses, where the school nurses, where the renewal of contracts for social workers to ensure that we have more social workers, community psychologists, educational psychologists, where are the child guidance clinics? Where, it's not just those one-off approaches, right? Where's the specialized courtrooms to now deal with these things? Because we don't want to say that we want to prosecute children the same way we prosecute adults, because we want to give them the opportunity to have the resources to change and make those changes. And we do it. I wrote an article the other day about my time working at Serval, and what happens is that a child gets into a fight or have some problem in school, and they're automatically sent to Serval, and Serval takes up that responsibility to reintroduce them into society, spend time with them. We teach them about living with others. We teach them about living in the world of work. We teach them about contributing to society, understanding themselves. So it's not as though the model doesn't exist. It's just, are we considering all the pieces needed to ensure that we give children the opportunities that, for example, maybe the family may have failed, maybe the community may have failed, and now we need to take national resources and put it towards children in this conscious way, not just a politicized aesthetic to show society that we're doing something, but really think about what we're doing. Because when these police officers who have the ability to arrest and press charges, what happens? Do they go to the regular court system? Do they have rehabilitation? There was one where a young boy was found with drugs on school, which is no new phenomena. But is there an opportunity for some sort of rehabilitation to think about what does drugs mean to them in their lives? Is the drug unit part of this, or are they just going to be processed as an adult in charges as an adult, rather than give them the opportunity to know the difference between right and wrong, and how this may impact their futures, etc. So those are the things I think we need to consider as we move forward with this particular model of interventions in schools and with the lives of young children.
Now, with your years, because you've invested a lot of your life with research and experience, so with the experience that you've had over the years and the intense research that you've done, what do you think would be some of the solutions then? Because I understand you identifying how much of the care, really, I truly understand where you're coming from. But directly, what are some of the solutions?
And I'm glad you're asking that, because just to get a little background, Trinidad is up for review by the CRC, the Convention on the Rights of the Child. So next year, Trinidad will be reviewed by the UN to see what they have done in the lives of children to establish, economic and social advancement as they think about children. The UN has asked me to convene a group of activist civil society organizations. So I've put together a team of about 40 active key players, including some of the key players like the Coalition Against Domestic Violence, Childline. Some of the children's homes are putting forward their experiences and posing questions to the state. And I'm really getting a well-rounded idea of what are some of the pressing issues around bullying and the responses, etc. And on a policy level, I think one of the major things is, one, are we collecting the right information as a state, right? So, for example, a lot of the institutions, if something happens to a child, the demographics of the child is left unsure. What is their economic situation? Are they from a single parent household? Who is the perpetrator, so we know what the intervention looks like, right? Because if majority of, for example, child sexual abuse happens in the household, there's very little investment needs to happen within the community. So there's no need for surveillance in the savannas and the parks, but rather how we manage situations at the home. If majority of the perpetration is happening at the home. So without that data, which the state continues to have these shortcomings, if that data does not exist, then the response, the intervention, falls short of who they need to reach. And I think that's one of the major things that we've gotten from this collective. We call ourselves the Childhood Justice Collective, right? So we're scanning news reports, we're scanning our own institutional experience, and we're posing these issues to the state through the UN, which we will be submitting in December. So again, on that policy level, one, we need to collect the data that centers our children. Interestingly enough, we collect domestic violence data. Like, for example, police complaints 2 years ago had produced a report on domestic violence amongst police officers. And interestingly enough, the child of in those situations, in that relationship, was not documented. Now, a brilliant report which held police officers and the police system accountable for domestic violence within their own sphere, but it never accounted for children, the lives of the children, of these officers, of these families. So we start to see how the child becomes, here and there in its selective process, right? And I think my job, my way moving forward is ensuring that all sectors think about children. Before I came to the US, I was doing a project up in the heights of Veripo. And what was one of the major concerns with the heights of Veripo? There's no public transportation. The children said that they were supposed to have a bus service 6 times a day, 3 in the morning, 3 in the afternoon, right? When we went in and we saw these young men and these young women just in the community existing, we realized it wasn't a lack of family support, it wasn't a lack of community, it wasn't a lack of religious intervention. It was the fact that there was no way to get out of Heights of Aripo. Right? There was no way to get to school. There was no way to get to extra classes. How do we center children in transportation development? Are children considered? You know what I mean? And Heights of Aripo is not no rural, deep area. It's right between Arima and village. You know what I mean? I remember seeing a grandmother having to jump in the back of a pickup truck with her groceries to get her ride from the bottom of her Heights of Aripo all the way to her home up in the community. So again, are we centering children in all of these national development? One of the things that we're bringing up in the report is children's access to water. A lot of them are dependent on truck-borne or the kindness of family members and community members.
You're absolutely correct. This is the program Conversations with Zelisa right here on Real TV. Let's go to these important messages. I am in conversation with Mr. Marcus Kisoon, Children's Advocate, and today we are talking about our children, our future leaders. And if we don't invest into the lives of our children, we need to understand where these children are going to be in the future, because they are going to be our future leaders. When I say that, they're going to be future parents. And it is important that we understand our roles, our duties and responsibilities. Yeah, let's go to these important messages. When we return, we continue our conversation with Mr. Marcus Kisoon. He is in Philadelphia, USA. So we will resume our conversation when we return. Stay with us.
Building something great? Start with the best foundation. At Badesi Transport Limited, we deliver top quality aggregate materials, fast, reliable, and right to your site. From gravel to sand to stone, we've got what you need at prices you can afford. And that's not all. We also offer equipment rentals, including trucks, backhoes, and excavators. For more information, call us at 665-3437 or WhatsApp 795-5672.
Looking for a full-time secondary school where your child feels safe, supported, and inspired? Experience the difference at Upper Level Educational Institute. Our passionate teachers and interactive classes ensure students remain actively engaged and excited to learn. Classes are also available part-time for students, repeaters, and adult learners. Sign up for any part-time subject and get CSEC Math free. Upper Level, a great place to learn, where students come first. Register today.
Planning a concert, conference, wedding, or cultural celebration? Let Real TV broadcast your event to the world. From live streaming and on-air coverage to global reach across TV and online platforms, we make sure your big moments are seen and heard everywhere. We offer professional production, worldwide exposure, and an unforgettable impact. Don't just host your event. Let us share it with the world. Contact Real TV today, where your story becomes everyone's experience.
Call us today at 2926470 or WhatsApp us at 3847142. You can also send an email to realtv.corporate@gmail.com.
You're viewing Real TV. Thanks for choosing us.
Welcome back to Conversations with Zelisa right here on Real TV, where we bring reality to you. And to all those of you here in the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, regionally, internationally, all those on Tego, the app, remember to download it and take Real TV with you wherever you go in real time, all right? Like and share, because this information is powerful. Knowledge is power. When we do have the knowledge, we make better decisions. And when we make better decisions, we have a better tomorrow indeed. I'm in conversation with Mr. Could you get his name, please? We are not in conversation with attorney at law, Mr. Gina Kadir, Mr. I humbly apologize for that, Mr. Kisoon.
That's all right.
Yes, we are in conversation with Mr. Marcus Kisoon, who is an advocate when it comes to children, and he understands the importance of investing. And when I say investing, inculcating the right morals and values, and as a government as well, as a country as well, when we plant the right seeds and we nurture it, we certainly will reap the fruit. And so it is important that we understand the importance when we talk about role models and the people that influence our children, whether it's in a positive or negative way. We must always be conscious of that. You know, Mr. Kisoon, welcome back. And he's out there in Philadelphia. And of course, I really want to thank you for taking the time from your busy schedule so that you could spend some time to continue to inform, empower, and educate us, you know. You spoke about going into areas, not in Deep South, not in where it's hidden. You identified a repo, you did a project there. And you talked to us about a simple thing, as we may take it simple, but we're talking about transportation to and from, the safety of it. Taking our kids to and from school and lessons, in terms of how transportation can impact and make a difference. You spoke about a grandmother getting on the back of a truck in order to take her groceries to and from. We are living in the year 2025. You spoke about the importance of access to water. How important water is. Brushing your teeth, taking a bath, cooking, flushing your toilet, keeping your environment clean. And so we're still bombarded by these negative things that we can't get right. And you understand these things, how it can impact negatively, not just into the lives of our children, but the citizens of our land. You know? And so, with that being said, clearly we identify some of our children are broken. What do we do to jump in? And in terms of solutions, thinking, all right, I've learned over the years that hurt people, right? So when children are being rebellious and they're fighting and they're cussing and they're behaving bad and they, it's because somewhere along the line we understand that something is wrong with this child. What do we do?
Yeah, one of the things I've always said is that we don't live in a society that centers the family and the child. I have always thought about, for example, one of those ways that we could start thinking about that is that one of those paid days off that employers offer workers, and I mean all workers, from domestic workers to corporate workers, one of those things that we need to, and it helps in the thinking, right, is that one of those paid off days, once you have a child, you should have one of those paid off days to ensure you spend meeting the teacher or the principal of that school. And it will allow for us to start facilitating a kind of care economy, a kind of a care society that says, oh, Zelisa, you have a daughter. Well, one of those 14 days, well, now it's 15 days, and that 15th days that you have to spend visiting your child's school. And that way we started, because we have to put in place the infrastructure to ensure that parents have the resources and access to be doing the things that is required for them. And if this happens from the primary school level, parents have a day that they have to visit, it starts to aid in the education family dynamic of facilitating that conversation for our children's development. And I have always been pondering, what would one of those days by corporate society, by corporate TNT, by the working industry, where the laborers sector, the working class sector, and all working people with children have an opportunity to say, hey, this paid day is for me to use to go to at least one PTA meeting, to go to one school event, whether it be a cake sale or whatever. But those are those, and if you look at the results of those who do well in school, their parents were well
Very
off
active.
and had active, was able to think. And those who may not think that their involvement in school in the child's school is important, this national policy law kind of culture will now say, hey, I have this one day to go in my child's school, and eventually become second nature. I have to be involved in my child's school. So those are the kinds of societal policy shifts I hope we start doing to consider the lives of children.
But Mr. Kisoon, isn't it the duty and the responsibility of the parent to understand, this is my duty, this is my responsibility to ensure that I am very much part of my child's life, to have that communication, that one-on-one, to partner with the teacher or the school.
I don't want to take it for granted that all adults know these things.
Yeah.
Because again, I've seen where families don't.
Recently, I saw where it's either Qatar or Abu Dhabi. They're now allowing mothers in particular to leave work 2 hours earlier than men, so that family life will be intact. Yeah. And I applaud that initiative.
Yeah, some of the Nordic models, some of the European models, some of the more advancing Switzerland, etc., where it comes to family leave after a child is born, it's not 4 days for the father and three months for the mother. It's an agreement that these this couple now has a child, if the mother only wants to take a month, the father could also get the remaining 2 months, depending on that. So it's all, so it's, again, it's centering one, it's shifting the roles. So it's not just the mother's role to care for children, because some mothers want to go right back out to work after they have had it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Career women. And it also doesn't say, well, fathers just need 4 days, as though the involvement in the lives of children requires minimum attention by fathers, right? Which is what we have in Trinidad. So, or non-existent, right? So what we're saying is that we're centering the child, and we're also not just placing one responsibility, for example, on the women, like in some of those that example you give, but we're also saying that there's this extra 2 hours. But what I'm saying is that we're now, as a state, have to take up this extra responsibility to ensure that the thinking about children is within these little policies. So go back to that 1 day off just to be part of your child's life. I have known parents who say, I can't get the time off to do this with my child, or to come to this event, or to be part of the marathon, or to be part of anything, or just to come in school and visit the teacher for a parent teacher day, right?
Well, that's because of the amount of single parents that we've got in this country. And they're trying to multitask, they're trying to juggle 2 and 3 jobs.
Absolutely.
You talk about, when we talk about the role of the father in the lives of children, there are children who still don't know who their fathers are.
Yeah, and again,
so I really think it's also about educating the public to go on a campaign about proper parenting, about women making good choices in terms of being smart about, do a little homework and be smart about whom you're going to get involved with, the person that you're choosing to be the fathers of your children. So we still have a lot of those social issues that we are trying to deal with, that we're bombarded with. Women themselves can't identify who are some of the fathers for their children.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to shift responsibility in that light. But again, I do think single parents could raise awesome children.
Yes.
And that includes mothers and fathers. I've seen
Yes.
fathers, do due diligence to their children. I'm not denying that. Absolutely. But again, I think fundamentally it's shaping this idea that we all have, and I think when we go back to that foundation of we all have responsibility for our children, it filters into the minds of everyone, fathers, mothers, now that we live in a society that says, oh, parents have to be in the school, right? Because it's now sort of national culture, right? So you're the father, or you're the mother of this child, you get the time off, your job is saying, I realize you didn't take your 1 day for this year yet to visit your child's school. HR is asking you this because, HR will tell you didn't take your 14 days, it doesn't roll over. It becomes now part of this language. Hey, did you take your 1 day? So it's those ways, it's those policy driven ways that brings back the value of the family, brings back the value of the child into the process, right?
It's about all of us taking that responsibility.
Yes,
but I also believe that they should also have some sort of document that's signed that you really did go to the school, because it's about taking a lime, going shopping, taking a day off.
Right,
you follow,
absolutely,
because that's
absolutely,
part of how.
Absolutely,
Yes, you must have some kind of accountability.
Yeah. There will be some loopholes and people take advantage of it. But what we're saying is that now there's this other layer. Now it's your job adding this other layer. Because, for example, we don't have national sexual harassment policy, but corporate TNT took it upon themselves to center the lives of potential victims of workplace harassment. So it's not that we need national laws and policies to drive the minds and hearts of Trinidad and Tobago. I have trained corporate TNT for a very long time to think about the process of family violence, how perpetrators may appear in work and continue to do abuse in the workplace, how children are affected, and these aren't national response. These are not written down anyway in law. So corporate TNT can do this. Corporate TNT can take up the lives of children. But for far too long, we've lived in a society that has seen children as just receivers of um of of adults uh control and re, requests. Children are always at the beck and call of adults versus being included in the process. And that goes right back down to thinking about them in the transport development, thinking about them in the national access to water and electricity, thinking about them in the ways in which they do well in school or not, how they're affected in school. So it's all centering all of this in the workplace, all of these places. I'm now trying to ensure that we have a centering of children in our national economic development. I need to see our budget this year saying we have thought about children in every sector, from housing to health to education. Well, of course, children are centered. We would hope children are centered in education, and not one kind of child, but all children are centered in education. Those who learn differently, those who will learn mainstream if they are given different kinds of resources. I want to see children centered in every possible thing. I want to see a budget allocated to keep, for example, the Coalition Against Domestic Violence, the hotline available, to keep Childline hotline available. I want to see national budgets that center children in all of their decisions. So when you're building a road, your question must be, how does the children from up the road reach down the road when this road is fixed? You know what I mean?
Point
When you
taken.
when you're laying pipes for water, you must ask yourself, wow, this little village have 300 children in it. When I put this pipe down, it must be so that 300 children amongst everyone gets access to it. And that's the kind of child-centered consideration I'm hoping that Trinidad, and I could be part of that conversation with Trinidad to start thinking
Mr.
about
Kisoon, we're going to take a quick break. When we return, we continue our conversation. Thank you so much. Let's go to these important messages. Stay with us.
Puja materials at perfect prices are at Prem Singh's Puja Bhavan, and for Navratri, we're fully stocked. Need mithai? We make them nice and tasty by order every day. Get fresh dahi, paper suhari leaves, jandi bamboo, plus wooden beedi boxes and pirhas. For your devotion, use our ready-made Devi tar. It's rich in color and made from premium ingredients. Don't miss our assortment of Ayurveda health and cosmetic products, Tulsi teas from Organic India, and a range of Girnar and GB teas. Fasting? Our QREP branch has all the vegetarian products, Indian groceries, curries, and spices you'll need. While there, have a look at our variety of healing crystal jewelry. Prem Singh's Puja Bhavan, 11 St. Ives Street, Chagonas, opposite the Charlieville taxi stand, and at the corner of Watt Street, QREP. Call 663-6084. Visit us today. It's a family tradition, serving the nation and Dharma.
Step into the colors and flavors of India at the India in Style Expo opposite the Center of Excellence Mokoya. Dive into our Indian Food Festival featuring a delicious variety, plus explore vibrant Indian clothing, elegant outfits for the entire family, perfect for every occasion. Open daily from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. opposite the Center of Excellence in Mokoya. Get ready, Shogunas! The Fab India Expo is back, starting on September 18th, right opposite the Medford gas station, Shogunas. Shop authentic Indian fashion, food, jewelry, home decor, and much more. Don't miss out on the Fab India Expo opposite Medford gas station, Shogunas, your one-stop cultural destination.
Welcome to Tuna's Auto Spares and Accessories Limited. We supply new and foreign used parts for all makes of vehicles. Visit our locations at 247 Kakandi Road, Felicity. Call 672-7765. 158 Southern Main Road, Warrenville. Call 672-7769 and 53A Pear Road, Charlieville. Call 672-2333. You can also WhatsApp us at 469-4822 or 469-4823. Our opening hours are Monday to Saturday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., and Sundays and public holidays, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Killman is a real dog, you know. Killman is a real dog out here. Nah, that's what you saying he do. After he talk that big game and nothing. If you search up red flag, you will see he face we. I don't understand.
But he didn't do nothing wrong.
Well, how you know he do nothing wrong?
Because you could see it. You just have an opinion and you voice your opinion to your friend and making him man look like a dog.
But he's a dog.
Because you say so.
He's a dirty dog. You know the backstory here?
But if the same way you going on where you're saying and I going on where I say it, I have a different opinion to you.
Yeah, but that's my opinion.
Well, I'm not saying you can't have your opinion, but your opinion wrong.
But you know what is my next opinion? Why you minding my business?
Because you're talking loud, your business is we business.
Why I don't understand only.
You could have managed
Coming your way every Tuesday and Thursday on Real TV from 7 to 9 p.m. It's not just love, it's not just reality, it's love versus reality. Expect the passion, the drama, the twists you never saw coming, and the moments that make you question, is it true love or just reality biting back? Only on Real TV, where reality hits different.
You're viewing Real TV. Thanks for choosing us.
Welcome back to Conversations with Zelisa right here on Real TV, where we bring reality to you. To all of our local, regional, international viewers, thank you kindly for choosing us. We say welcome back to Mr. Marcus Kisoon. He's a children's advocate. He's now based in Philadelphia, USA. Welcome back, Mr. Kisoon. In conversation with us this morning, as we talk about the importance of our children, especially the investment we make now, so that, you know, they are our future leaders. They are the flowers of our nation. They will certainly be the next, take us to the next generation with regards to parents, to leaders. So welcome back, Mr. Kisoon.
Thank you.
As you've shared a wealth of information with us this morning. And I always say knowledge is power. I always say it is important to continue the drive, as you would say, to ensure that the message is loud and clear, especially to the parents. The choices we make, what do we do with our kids? We know that we understand that we send them to school. We need to understand it is our duty and responsibility to check books every day, go through book bags, to know who their friends are, to ensure they do their revision, to do their homework. And I think there's only so much a teacher or the school can do. It is also up to the parent to take that duty and responsibility. And what you're talking to us now is about national, our government, our leaders now understanding where we're at, where we're wrong, and implementing the solutions to fix it so we'll have a better next generation.
We could talk about a list of things that come up. One of the other issues, concerns that are coming out from this report is, for example, the issue of the right to have an identity. We've seen in the past, particular kinds of hair and hairstyle prevents students from graduating. Something as natural as hair still becomes a prevention to access things like education. I've seen stories where hijabs were also a problematic issue in schools.
Correct.
Children having henna in their hand post Diwali celebrations. So it's all of those things that we need to consider beyond just the access to the school, but how does a child get to exist within their own identity in the school system that really does center the child. So we're working on things like that. Here in the US, we have something called the Crown Act that is supposed to protect children and their hair and their ability to represent who they are, their culture, etc. We do have similar processes in Trinidad. So we see schools, if the principal may have one particular kind of ideology, we could see that reflecting and creating an oppressive environment for some. children in school. So we want to do all of that, and I think really, you bring up the parents, and I do think if I have to respond to what is a missing factor with parents, is this idea of developing what I've called unconditional love, right? Where you start the process, and I feel like if the family and adults start from that point of unconditional love, where despite the circumstances, we want to be involved in the lives of children, then we've already started on the right footing. Unconditional love means that we're not going to bring our adult biases immediately in it, right? We know that there are things that society wants from us as people, but we cannot, and it goes right back to mentorship. We cannot demand it in that way, because children don't respond to demands. They respond to exposure. They respond to community. They respond to, and I've said it in my last writing that, children are willing to listen. Children are willing to engage. We just have to find the right tools as adults to get them involved, and all those tools will not fit all children, right? Like I said, I have worked with children who have gotten into fights in school, but after working with them one-on-one at Serval, they've seen how they are contributing to themselves, to their development, to what is needed for them for next steps to survive, despite the trauma that young people experience, they are willing to be part of something, but they get excluded because of all of the other things around them, right? They're not fitting particular boxes. We only see I am convinced that the education system in this school only cares about those who pass for their first choice and who bring CXC results and upper level results to the forefront. An education system would say we have those who function like this, and we have those who function like this, and we're going to provide resources for all who functions like that, across the board. So it's not just celebrating those who pass for their first choice and those who do well in CXC, which we've seen. Guyana just the other day did an entire spread of children who got 19 CXC passes, who got 25 CXC passes, and yes, that in itself is an accomplishment.
Yeah.
But as a state and as a service to children, we also have to account for those who are not able to get 2 or 3. And what do we do to ensure that those who don't get 2 and 3 have the resources? And it may also mean stepping away from academia for a bit.
Exactly.
If we see children having behavioral problems, so we need to include behavioral development in the curriculum for something as simple as the health and family life curriculum that is supposed to shape the ways in which young people think about themselves and their rights and their ability to speak and have resources. We're not invested in it.
I agree.
Right?
Unfortunately, we've got to wrap things up. Your closing comments, please.
I am hoping that as we move forward after this review by the Convention on the Rights of the Child, the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child next year, that we start centering children in, again, everything that we do, from the music we play on the radio to the ways in which we build roads and schools and ensure schools open bright and early September, semester. We want to center children in everything that we do. And I do hope through this collaboration of civil society, the UN, and the state, we could start thinking about what is needed. Again, advancing what is needed, because Trinidad isn't backward, right? Far from backward.
You're absolutely correct. Sir, I want to thank you kindly, for taking the time to spend some quality time with us this morning so that we can be enriched. Knowledge is power with what you've said to us. May God continue to bless you richly. I've always admired you. I know that you're always an advocate when it comes to children. So I trust and hope now that even though you're in Philadelphia, that we could continue to connect with you. Absolutely. And you with us. All the very best. Thank you kindly.
Okay, bye. Have a good one.
Bye-bye. This is where we're going to wrap things up for today. Let me thank you kindly for choosing us here at Real TV. Great programming continues. So do continue to stay with us. Continue to like and share because it's valuable information. Knowledge is power. Continue to be good, law-abiding citizens. Continue to understand the importance of your role as parents in the lives of your children. Don't take that lightly, but rather understand it is your duty and responsibility. I want to remind you, my dear friends, that with God, all things are possible. Thank you so much for choosing us here at Real TV. I am Zelisa Budu Singh Rupani. See you tomorrow.